Hi, 7th grade. Let's talk about determining unit rates with ratios of fractions. By the end of the lesson, I want you to be able to say, I can find unit rates with ratios of fractions and use them to solve problems. Solve and discuss it. Allison and her classmates planted bean seeds at the same time as Yuki and her classmates in Tokyo did. Allison is video chatting with Yuki about their class seedlings. Assume that both plants will continue to grow at the same rate. Who should you expect to have the taller plant at the end of the school year? Allison's class grows 2.5 inches in 5 days. Yuki's class grows 5.5 centimeters in 4 days. Can we compare these two just yet? We can't compare them because one is in inches and one is in centimeters. We have to be able to we have to be able to convert them either from inches to centimeters or centimeters to inches. So let me look up the conversion rate. One inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So if we have 2.5 inches, we can multiply that by 2.54 to give us 6.35 centimeters in 5 days. Pause the video and I want you to find out whose plant will be taller at the end of the school year. Okay, so I hope you found the unit rate. So 6.35 over 5 days. Unit rate is a what in the denominator? A 1. So we want to figure out how much it's going to grow in 1 day. So I divide by 5, both on the top and the bottom. So 6.35 divided by 5 gives me 1.27. So it grows 1.27 centimeters in 1 day for Allison's class. Yuki's class grows 5.5 centimeters in 4 days. And we want to figure out how much it grows in 1 day, because we are finding the unit rate. So we divide both top and bottom by 4. And that gives me 1.375 centimeters in 1 day. So which plant grows faster? Yuki's. So Yuki's going to have the taller plant at the end of the year. What must the students do before they can compare the heights of the plants? We did that. We needed to convert to centimeters. Or we could have done it the other way around and converted to inches. Example number 1. Find the unit rate involving unit fractions. Sergio is training for a triathlon. His target speed is 25 miles an hour. Did he achieve his target speed for the first 7 miles of his ride? We are doing miles per hour. So 15 minutes, we need to translate that, convert it to hours. 15 minutes out of 60 minutes is equal to 1/4 of an hour. So he goes 7 miles in 1/4 of an hour. To get to 1, we can either do 1/4 divided by 1/4, but if we stay change flip, that 1/4 stays and we multiply by 4, which is what they did here. Let's multiply both the top and the bottom. So Sergio bikes 28 miles in 1 hour. Here's his unit rate. So he achieved and exceeded his target speed. Remember, he wanted to go 25 miles an hour. Let's try it. Sergio increases his target speed to 30 miles an hour. How many more miles does Sergio need to ride in 1/4 of an hour to achieve his target speed? So now we're going the other way. We're going from 1 to 1/4, so we have to divide by 4. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So we are going to divide by 4. 30 divided by 4 equals 7.5. So Sergio must ride 7.5 miles in 1/4 of an hour to achieve his target speed. So he needs to ride an additional, so we need to subtract. We have to do 7.5 minus 7, so it gives me 0.5. So a half a mile faster per quarter hour. How does the unit rate describe Sergio's cycling speed? How is the unit rate helpful in determining how much farther Sergio must cycle in a given amount of time he increases his target speed? Well, his unit rate tells us how far he will travel in 1 hour. His rate, his speed. Example number 2. Find and apply a unit rate involving fractions. Bronwyn mows the lawn every other weekend. She can mow 12,000 feet in 2/3 of an hour. The lawn is 36,000 feet. How long does it take her to mow the entire lawn? So we have 2 steps here. We got to first find the unit rate. So that's why we did 2/3 multiplied by 3/2. Remember this, when you flip the fraction, it's called the reciprocal. Okay. Then once we find out that she can do 18,000 in 1 hour, we want to know how long it would take her to get to 36,000. So we know 18,000 times 2 equals 36,000. So we multiply the bottom by 2. So she's going to take her 2 hours to mow the entire lawn. Let's try it. Every other weekend, Bronwyn's brother Daniel mows the lawn. He can mow 15,000 feet in 3/4 of an hour. Who mows the lawn in less time? Well, let's see. If we have 15,000 divided by 3/4, we're trying to find the unit rate. So instead of dividing by 3/4, I can multiply by the reciprocal. So you multiply by 4/3. So that is going to give me 20,000. So Daniel can mow the lawn 20,000 feet in 1 hour. So Daniel mows faster. So he will get it done sooner. He mows more lawn in the unit rate in 1 hour. Last but not least, solve problems using unit rates. Omar knows that his friend Chris lives 3/5 miles away. How far is the school from his house? So we know that the 3/5 miles compares to the 3/4 of an inch. So we have 3/5 miles over 3/4 of an inch. We want to know the unit rate. How many miles are in 1 inch? So instead of dividing by 3/4, that's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we flip the fraction, and we see that 1 inch is 4.5 miles. Do we finish the question? No, we want to know how far the school is from his house. So if we know 4/5 of a mile is 1 inch, I want to know how many miles is in 2 inches. So to go from 1 to 2, you multiply by 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 8/5, make it 8 proper fraction, is 1 3/5. So Omar's school is 1 3/5 miles from his house. Sonoma bikes 5 miles to Paige's house. On a map, they measure that the distance as 5.6 centimeters. The same map shows the mall is 3.5 centimeters from Paige's house. What is the actual distance between Paige's house and the mall? So we're doing the same sort of thing as the example above. I want you to pause the video, try it on your own, and press play when you're ready to go over it. So if 5 miles corresponds to 5/6 centimeters, I want to figure out the unit rate. I want to figure out how many miles gets me to 1 centimeter. So instead of dividing by 5/6, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So flip the fraction. So that gives me 5 times 6/5 do it over here. 5 over 1 times 6 over 5 equals 30 over 5, which equals 6. So we can go 6 miles in 1 centimeter. But remember, always check to make sure I answer the questions. What is the actual distance between Paige's house and the mall? Oh, so we need to take 6 miles over 1 centimeter and figure out how many miles correspond to 3.5 centimeters. Well, to get from 1 to 3.5, we multiply by 3.5. So we multiply by 3.5. So that's going to give me 21 miles. So the mall is 21 miles away from her house. So the key concept, you can use what you know about equivalent ratios and operations with fractions to write a ratio of fractions as a unit rate. Tia skateboards 2/3 mile every 1/6 hour. So again, multiply by the reciprocal. So that tells me she skateboards 4 miles per hour. Okay, 7th grade, let's say it. I can find unit rates with ratios of fractions and use them to solve problems. Have a great day.